Hello, welcome to John Wayne Lied to You, the storytelling podcast featuring me, your good old buddy, your sleeveless wonder pal, your unemployable, tattooed goofball that you love. John Wayne, I'm here, that's right. Oh, back in Wayne Manor, nuzzled in the old library of evil. Here, I'm very excited to be back again this week. What an exciting week it's been. Holy shit. I could barely contain myself here. I don't worry. I took a little extra of Grampy's medicine and put it in the old pipe there. And again, drinking coffee, guys. This is the morning. This is the AM. I'm taking care of this. TCB in the AM. That's a lot of letters, but I'm doing it all. So I got my coffee and my pipe of weed, and I'm ready. Welcome to the show. Thank you guys so much, first of all, for listening and spreading it out there. The show's been growing every week. I really appreciate it. Please keep listening. Share it with your friends that you think might be interested. Maybe you want to share on social media. That might be cool too. Whatever. All of it I appreciate very much. The fact that anybody listens to this besides my mother, who I know is listening right now. Shouts out, Mom. I appreciate that very much. So thanks, guys. Let's keep it up and check out all the rest of the good shows. More like great shows. Tony the Tiger on the Mockingbird Network. Go to mockingbirdnetwork.com. You can check out my show as well as all the other great shows like Relation Shit, Honey, I Shrunk the Binge, Let's Compare Notes, Polly Want a Podcast. The list goes on. Nerd Love. There's all kinds of great stuff. So anyway, guys. Last night, the Houston Astros won the World fucking Series. That's crazy exciting. A lot of you know that I am here. Wayne Manor is located in Houston, Texas, where I live. I'm not the hugest baseball fan. I like baseball. I'll go to baseball games. I'll sit and watch baseball at a bar if it's on. I played baseball from the time I was like 8 or 9 till I was 15 or 16, and I liked it. I enjoy it, but playoff baseball is a different animal. There's something exciting about it, and the Astros getting all the way. They've never won a World Series before, so the fact that they did it last night in grand fashion was very, very exciting. So that hats off to you, Astros. Rats off to you. And I'm excited that we didn't burn the city down last night, especially after we just got it all dried up. So, but anyway, that was exciting. It was Halloween a couple days ago. That's, of course, we talked about that last week. Very exciting. I went to an awesome show called The Halloweening at Walters. I saw some excellent performances. What they did was took different people from different bands that kind of like formed one-off type bands. That did like a mashup of sorts, and one of them being my buddy Rahul. Shouts out Rahul, check him out. He's at Coyote Bloodbath on Instagram and shit. He was in a band with my buddy Ned and Gabe Bravo and Kelly Doyle, who is masterfully excellent guitar player, and some other people. And they did a band called Patsy Cline Inch Nails, where they all were in like country cowboy gear. They played country songs, and Rahul sang like 9 Inch Nails lyrics over it, like country style. In case you're wondering if like you're sitting there thinking like, I don't know if I can picture that being cool or not, let me just tell you, it was fucking cool. It was very cool, and there were other bands all night that did that as well. And it was a great show. It was a great time. I was there with my buddy Jack. Jack got his car towed. That sucks, but we got it figured out. Didn't deter our evening too much. And then Saturday, I went to an art show at Insomnia here in Houston. It's a gallery type place that has toys. We talked about it last week. It was very cool show. I got some pins, some enamel pins, some stickers from a local artist called Honey Bones. Check her out. Her work is very cool. And then I went to my friend Jade's Halloween party, and I hung out with her, like, not roommate, I guess apartment above her mate, Dylan, who's also a good friend of mine. All my good friends were there. It was so awesome. It was a really great Halloween. And then to top it off, this on actual Halloween night, that was Friday, Saturday, my friends headed up by the old reliably always funny and amazing Nick Merriweather put a show together called Spooky Stand Up, which went on at the Secret Group, and that was where all the comics that performed, they came in costume as somebody and did their set as the character they were dressed up as. Very, very fucking cool. So I had a blast Halloween time. I really, really can't complain at all. So that's going well. Now, outside of that, I've been, I've got some exciting things coming up in the near future. I'm just a little over a week away from Zine Fest Houston, where I'll be tabling with, I'll be sharing a table with the Bootown ladies, and we'll be having a blast. And then probably, I think like maybe 3 days or 4 days later, I'm on a jet plane headed to Portland, baby, for Bizarro Con, and I'm so excited about that, as I am every year. But I don't know, that those things coming up. I've been feeling, honestly, lately, I've been feeling a little overwhelmed by things, which is weird because I don't usually allow myself to get overwhelmed. I'm putting unnecessary stress on myself. I feel, I just want to, like, I've got all these things coming up and I want to perform at an optimal high level at every single thing I do. So I don't know if I've just been wearing myself into the ground with just doing all these different things. But I think I'm just sweating some stuff too much, man. The book release, promoting that, the band performances, going to these conventions, going to the readings, setting up my own readings. All this stuff is going on in my head like all the time. And on top of that, I got to work a day job. I mean, it's just how it is. And my job is okay. It's a labor job. I listen to podcasts all day and stuff and music, and that's great. But it's they take care of me and help me out and let me go out of town when I need to and do things like that. But that job's just, it's not part of my dream, and it's sometimes the mental toughness that I have just wears away a little bit. It gets eroded, and I get down. I get dragged down by it. So I've just been dealing with like some discouragement lately that I've just been, I sit on it. I don't even tell anybody. I just kind of let it fester, and that's never good. And I've had I feel like some resistance that I've been allowing to get in the way of me getting all my tasks done. And the resistance is really, truly coming in the form of other tasks. It's not like I'm I'm going to sit down to write, but I decide like, I think I'd rather watch reruns of Three's Company. There's a marathon on. Not resistance in that way where I'm sabotaging myself or, fighting the urge to watch Three's Company. It's like I have to write, but I also have to make sure I get this banner art for my con tables, like, finalized and ordered. I have to order books for the con. I have to finish the zine that I'm working on. I have to draw all new signage for that. I have to record a podcast. All of these things are kind of battling with each other a lot. And, it'd be a lot easier without having to punch that clock every day. But it's not happening yet, but it will. I fucking promise you that it will. And I'm working on it. Which brings us to our tarot reading for this week. If you're new to the show, every week I do a quick 3-card tarot reading just for myself because I like it. It's fun. I like tarot. Just getting to learn it and stuff now after I've had a few readings and got interested in it. So, before I sit down and record, I shuffle the deck super well. I cut it, and then before I pick the cards, I just kind of think like, what's going on in my life right now? Where do I need some insight? Where do I need some direction? And I was thinking about these things I just talked about, this discouragement, this resistance in the form of conflicting responsibilities or things I put upon myself, and I need to get the fuck past this, or or I'm gonna be like dark cloud emo Wayne or something, and I don't like that part of me. So I drew the cards, guys, and this reading, it pertains pretty well today. I felt pretty good. I was actually kind of excited when I was going through this one and writing out my notes to talk to you about, because I was like, man, this actually kind of applies. Okay, so I draw three cards, right? So the first card I drew was bum 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 death, the death card. Ow! Scary death. Oh. Um, but here's the thing: the death card isn't something to be feared. The death card, it shows death on a white horse, a skeleton with armor, and he's there's people of all kinds around him. All people are represented, and they're all bowing to him. Even there's a bishop on there that's bowing to him. It shows that death is unconquerable and it is inevitable. Um, but what the card means, and where I took it, is it means the end of a major phase in your life, the beginning of a new. You must shut one door to open another, which will be hard, but you must embrace the new possibilities. If you resist, you will experience pain. Now, I kind of take this as, to me, as like, okay, I need to make some choices involving the things that I'm doing. Maybe there's some things I need to start saying no to. Maybe I need to say no to myself on some things and be like, no, dude, focus on this. Because honestly, I have been thinking lately, the thought has run through my head a couple times this week of like, am I killing myself to live? Am I truly able to reach my full potential on any of the things I do because I'm not able to focus as much on it as I should because I'm focusing on other things that I do. So that thought was going on in my head, and this kind of like made me think about it more. It represents transformation. Transform yourself and clear away the old to make room for the new. Clear away limiting factors to your goals, and it opens the door wide. Change may come in a sweeping way that you're unaware. It just takes you away. Finally, let go of unhealthy attachments in your life. Death teaches you to let go. So I took that as, you know what, maybe those thoughts are kind of valid. Maybe I need to step back and be like, all right, I need to pick the things that are what I want to do in my career, in my creative energy, and just go balls deep in those and not take on so much. And if I can do that, I think the change that I want to see will come. And that brings us to our next card that I drew, which was Judgment. Death and Judgment right next to each other. It sounds daunting, but it's actually kind of cool. The Judgment card, it calls for a period of reflection and self-evaluation to come to a deeper understanding about the common themes in your life. So that's telling me like, yeah, I need to reflect on all this stuff I'm doing, evaluate what's suffering. Where am I just living the law of diminishing returns with all this stuff now? I don't know. But I need to think about those, examine those themes in my life and where to strengthen them. And it tells you close to reaching a significant stage in your journey. Come to a realization of leading your life in a different way. Now, close to reaching a significant stage in your journey, could be a lot of things, but for me, it's like, I'm very, very happy and extremely grateful for every bit of success I've gotten in any of my creative endeavors, as far as like the books I've had published, the shows I've played, the people I've gotten to work with. I'm so grateful. But sometimes I do think like, man, how long? I know you got to be patient. I know you got to keep putting it out there. You got to keep doing it. You cannot quit. But how long until the next step, the bigger step happens? I'm crawling up these small steps. I want to take a leap, but it doesn't happen like that, and I have to think about that. Think on that. Last card I drew was the Two of Wands. There's a dude on this card, and he's basically looking like, hell yeah, I'm the man. I'm ready for action. The clothes he's wearing indicate he has an enthusiastic approach to life and a passion for adventure. So that's what I'm talking about. Now this is interesting. The Two of Wands takes the spark of inspiration from the Ace of Wands and matures it into an actual path. Now, when did we have the Ace of Wands? Oh, last week in our reading, my friends. So, hey, I don't know. Connect those dots. But it sparks the inspiration from the Ace of Wands matures it into an actual path. That's taking the thought and making it a reality and living it. It's a time for planning and progressing, discovery. Step out of your comfort zone. You know what your goal is, and you are confident with its fulfillment. Transition into this as a long-term focus. So that's like, hey man, I know what my goal is, and I'm meeting that goal. I am, and I meet my goals every day. I'll tell you, I don't know if I've said this before on the show, but I'm one of the I get up every single morning and I have a dedicated notebook to this where I write my goals down every day. The date, I write my goals. There's at least 5 or 6 things on there every day, and there are things like, it's always write 1,000 words. I'm going to record a podcast today, go to the gym after work, submit one story, revise said this story, go to band practice, whatever. Anything I need to achieve, update your website, all that shit, I put it on there. But I always end it with, the last goal of the day is support myself through my art. That's the long term. That's the path, the transition into a long-term path to reach that. And I write it every day. And the next day when I wake up, I go through that list from the day prior and I cross off all the things that I did. And next to it in another column, I write what I did and what might have kept me from meeting all the goals. Like, went drinking after work, so I didn't, do this or whatever. Just to check for that pattern, but it's always that last one. Support yourself through your art, and I will cross that off one day. This card shows patience and focus of your intent. Again, the patience. You got the ball rolling. Now be patient and waiting for the rewards and watch the ideas materialize. So what I'm taking away from this 3-card reading is I need to evaluate some things as far as my career in the arts is concerned, my writing career. Maybe figure out a little bit more of where I want to throw my focus into and where I want to take my focus away from. And basically embrace that newness, go balls deep in it, and be patient, knowing that the change is coming. So I feel good about that. That one was cool. So thank you guys for indulging me in that. Now, as I said, this is a storytelling podcast. You may be like, when's the fucking story? What's the story? Guys, this one is I'm a little happy. I'm happy about this one. I'll tell you why. Sometimes when I write these stories, like for Grown Up Story Time, which is where I call a lot of these stories from, which is, like I've said before, monthly creative nonfiction show here in Houston, put on by the wonderful and awesome Bootown. Check out bootown.org. But I write these stories about my life, and somebody else reads them. And I've helped a couple people, good friends of mine, write some stories. And the most common thing that people will tell me is like, man, I wish I could do that, but I don't have any stories about my life that are crazy like that. But the thing is, you do, you just don't remember them the right way most of the time. And you never know what's going to spark a memory where you'll be like, oh shit, I totally forgot about that, and that is so fucking crazy. That's what happened in this instance. I had something that sparked this memory in me. Maybe might have been Halloween. It might have been a couple factors, but this is a fun one, guys. This is a story involving me and a good friend of mine, and an adventure we had one night. I will call this story, I Walked with a Zombie. So, as I've said in the past, with these stories, I will always include the original names and places as much as I can without incriminating or being disrespectful to anybody involved. So in this particular story, I would like to preserve the anonymity of my friend who went along with me on this. So I will refer to him as Lando in this story. So my friend Lando and I were and are really big Rob Zombie fans. Now, you may think whatever you want about Rob Zombie or whatever you know about Rob Zombie. You can like his music or you can't, you don't, whatever. It doesn't fucking matter. Like his movies or not. What you cannot deny is that he is a very driven, dedicated artist, and he is a master of his craft. In that you could hate every single one of his songs, but I dare you to go to a live show and not be like, holy shit, that was fucking awesome. His stage shows are just tremendous. Huge stage props, castles, robots, all kinds of crazy shit going on at his shows. Fire, dancing girls. It's, videos. It's just amazing show. Anyway, my friend Lando and I were really into it. And like several back in the day, like when Hellbilly Deluxe came out, I think we're talking like 99 or something. Like, this is going back. And we were very excited about that. And we actually followed Rob Zombie around Texas for those shows because they were so amazing back at that time. And then since then, Lando and I have had a strong, hearty respect for Mr. Zombie, as well as, other bands. And he and I have been to, I don't know, I would venture to say 100 at least shows together in our life of being friends. And have had a great time all the time. What a time. So we'd seen Rob Zombie pretty much every opportunity that we've had. And then this was probably, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, 9 years ago, I would say. Rob Zombie was coming through town on a stripped down show of sorts. They called it the Jeans and T-Shirt Tour. I forget what record was out at the time. But it was basically going to be a kind of rock and roll show, balls out rock and roll without all the pageantry and very limited stage effects and props and no costumes or anything. They're just going to come out and rock out. And, which fucking, that's cool with me because I like his music anyway. And we wanted to see him play. So Lando and I had kind of gotten into this habit. I don't know if it was maybe an arrogance. I think that it was just like a flying too close to the sun on wings of wax, which that will come back into the story later. But we basically we came from a point where we sweated getting tickets as soon as they went on sale, so we made sure we could get to the show. And then we kind of stepped back from that when we realized that when we didn't get tickets for a couple shows but still went, we were able to buy scalped tickets from people out in front of the venues or around the venues and stuff. And then we kind of got a little laxed and lazy in buying tickets and relying on just showing up to the shows day of to buy some tickets on the street, right? Which is what we did for this show. Now, it was at a place here in Houston. At the time, it was called the Verizon Wireless Theater. Now it's called the Revention Center. Indoor venue, in my opinion, best live sound, indoor sound in Houston. Was my opinion. But cool little venues, not small enough to enjoy, but big enough to have a really good, big good show. And it's nestled in a kind of like a little, I don't even know what you call it, like a block of like shit retail maybe, right in the middle of downtown Houston. Because attached to it on one side is a Hard Rock Cafe, and then you go down the other side, there's some other restaurants, there's a movie theater, some bars. I don't know what you call that, but it's a thing. So it was at this venue, and this was like doors open at 7 p.m. type show. And I was working at Starbucks at the time, so I was like off in the middle of the afternoon, so I had plenty of time. Lando at the time worked somewhere like a 9 to 5 thing where he was going to get off at like 5 or 6, whatever, and get there later. But I told him, I was like, hey, I'll get there first. I'll get there early. I'll get us tickets like as soon as I get there, make that my priority, and then I'll just chill at the bar in Hard Rock and wait for you. We're like, cool, deal. That was our plan. So I showed up pretty early. I want to say like I was probably walking up the sidewalk at around maybe 10 to 5. And I saw some people hanging, some people lurking, with the ticket look in their eye and stuff. And I kind of talked to some people. I think the first people I talked to did not have the general admission tickets that we wanted, because that meant you could stand on the floor. They had seated tickets, which were raised, and we didn't want those. But this other guy was like, yeah, I got 2 general admission tickets right here. And now this is back in a time when you could buy tickets off Ticketmaster online and then print them out from your printer, and you had the code there that they scanned at the door. Now it's all on your phone, but this guy, he pulls out these 2 printed out, colored printed pieces of paper from the website or whatever, and I was like, whoa, are these the tickets? And he's like, yeah, man, that's how you do it. You print them out. And I like looked at them. They all looked legit. Had a banner, the scanner on there, whatever. So I'm like, sure. So I buy the tickets, right? And I text Lando and say, hey, mission accomplished, dude. I got the tickets. We're good. I'll be at the bar when you get here. So I go to the bar. I sit down, and I'm feeling pretty fucking good. I'm feeling like a badass. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have a shot and a beer to celebrate this. So, judge me if you want, but back in these days, I was drinking Jaeger. I think we all make mistakes in our life and just learn from those things. But I can take a shot of Jaeger today, but it's not going to be the first thing I ask for, not anymore. But I took a shot of Jaeger, and I'm drinking like their big mug of beer, whatever, the 24 ounce or whatever beer they had. So I'm drinking that, chilling, waiting for Lando to show up. And I was probably there a good hour by myself before he was able to get there. So by this time, I've had a maybe on my third 24 ouncer. I got that one shot cooking in me, that one heater, feeling pretty good when he walks in. Boom, we embrace, we're ready, we're jammed. Like, hey, but first let's sit down and have a couple beers. We don't have to go in there right now. Doors are just about to open, like it's 7. I'm not gonna go in there and like stand around like a bunch of fucking, Mook Delors or whatever. So he sits down to have a beer, and I, as the bartender's there, I go ahead and order another shot because I feel like, fuck it, I'm gonna have another shot. So then Lando's like, oh, you're gonna have a shot? Oh, come on, man, now I have to have a shot. So we both have Jaeger shots. So we start drinking, time's passing by. It's well after 7 now, and then we know there's one opening band, and then Rob Zombie. So we're like, fuck this opening band. We're having a good time. Let's just drink, and we'll just go right in right before Zombie goes on, walk into the floor, and watch the show, and we'll be in fucking prime shape for it, right? Well, we ended up also having another shot in that time. So I've had 3 and a bunch of beers. Lando's had 2 and a bunch of beers. And we decide that it's time. Okay, it's getting close. We close out the tab. Let's go. We walk right up, no line anymore, right to the front door, scan our printed out tickets, and immediately tell us, sir, I'm sorry, these tickets have already been used. Please step away from the door. And I was like, wait, what? No, we just... And then they're like, step away from the door, sir. And security actually like walks you away. Like, so they kind of like walked us away, and I was like, fuck, man, I got fucking beat, man. I got beat for these tickets, dude. I felt like an idiot, and now I'm pretty drunk, and I'm feeling dumb, and Lando's like, well, let's try to find more tickets, man. And I was like, I don't know, should we? And like, we go to the cash machine next to the place, pull out some more money, and we start looking for lurkers. So a couple people approach us, and now we don't want to be right in front of the fucking door, right? You don't want to be that obvious, but so we're trying to kind of get off from the venue a little bit. But this guy's like kind of up on the stairs, close to the, maybe a couple feet away from the venue doors, but in the shadows or whatever, and he's like, hey, I got these tickets. I got 2 general admission. He's got real tickets in his hand. He's like, come on, guys, $30 a piece, $30 a piece. And we're like, $30, man, the show's like already halfway over. And he's like, yeah, you're going to miss the best half then or whatever. So we're like, fuck, do we want them? So Lando steps up to the guy and says, let me look at the tickets, man. And he said, look at him. He's like, hey, dude, look, we just got ripped off for fake tickets. Let me look at these tickets. So the guy is standing right next to Lando, hands them over to him. Lando takes them in his hand and looks. And as he does that, instantaneously, a police officer steps up behind the guy that just handed Lando the tickets and, like, puts him in one of those, like, arm locks over his head, like full Nelson type deals, and says, we already warned you enough times, buddy, let's go. And pulls the guy away. I look up at Lando, he looks at me, and he just turns on his heel and starts walking the opposite direction. And I do the same. And we're like, holy shit. You want to talk about going from zero to hero like in point 0.2 seconds? We went from feeling low, the lowest, to the fucking highest, because not only we got beat for tickets, yeah, I did, but then we fall into this free tickets that would have cost us more if we had to, and in such crazy circumstances. Like, it was just insane. So we go up, they scan the tickets, they work, boom, we're in. Now, we still have a few minutes before Rob Zombie's going to start. The curtain's still down, the house lights are up. We walk into the general admission area and get a place, find a spot in the middle, and we kind of are making our way close, middle, front, not too close, but we got enough room. And, hey, Serby, I hear you, buddy. And we stand there and we start we're drunk and we're feeling like awesome now. And we just start chatting up these people next to us, just some dudes or whatever. And Lando pulls out a cigarette pack that he had in his breast pocket of his shirt. Now, Lando doesn't smoke cigarettes, but in the cigarette pack are a few loose cigarettes, maybe like 4 or 5, and a couple joints. He'd like forgotten totally they brought him. He's like, holy shit, I got these joints. We got to smoke them. And I'm like, you think maybe when the lights go down, the show starts, we should smoke them, but not now. And Lando is just in fuck it mode. He's like, nah, we're good, man. No one's going to say anything to us. So the guys we're talking to were like, yeah, I mean, it's been cool. People have been smoking all night. Like, he's like, you want to smoke this joint with us? And they're like, yeah. So Lando takes out the joint and he sparks it and he's smoking it. And I think we all got one good pass on it, and it's back in his hand, and he's talking and gesticulating with the joint. And security comes up from just through the crowd, just a security guy for the venue, and he's like, hey man, he steps into our little circle, he's like, hey man, you can't smoke in here, says that to Lando. And Lando's like, oh shit, I'm sorry dude, I'm so sorry, I didn't even realize it, man, I just lit it up. And he's like, I know, no problem, you can't smoke in here, and you definitely can't smoke that in here. And he's like, cool man, thanks for being cool, no problem, I apologize. So Lando puts out the joint, I think he just threw it on the ground, like fuck it type thing. And security guy kind of disappears back into the crowd, and Lando turns back to us like he never missed a beat and just starts talking about whatever he was talking about mid-sentence, mid-story, reaches back into his pocket for the cigarette pack, pulls out a cigarette from it now. Now, I told you, Lando doesn't even smoke cigarettes. Well, sometimes when he becomes Spring Break Lando, he does, but that's a different story. He just pulls out a cigarette, puts it in his mouth, lights it up while he's talking, and like within 2 seconds, the same security guy comes up behind him, similar type headlock, full Nelson grab like that the cop did to the dude outside, and starts dragging him through. And he says, I already told you, buddy, you're out of here. And like he's like, what? No, I'm sorry. And I was like, what? You're out of here. So I start following him through the people, and they take him out the front door and put him, basically kick him out. You're out. Don't come back. So I go out to the smoking area, which is right next to the front door. It's just kind of like fenced off, and I'm standing so I can talk to him. And I'm like, dude, what do you want me to? What do I do? What are you gonna do? And I said, I should leave, right? I should come with you. We should go somewhere. Leave. And he's like, no, stay, man, stay. I'm gonna try to get back in. And I was like, no, I don't think you can get back in, man. I should I leave or should I stay? And he's like, nah, stay, man. I'll figure it out. Stay and watch the show. And I was like, okay. So I went in and watched the show. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Hey, where's your allegiance to your buddy? He goes down, you go down. You gotta take care of each other. And I will say that while I was in there watching the show, I did have a pang of guilt gnawing at the back of my brain that I left Lando out there. And I felt bad because I was pretty drunk, and I knew that if I was this drunk, he was probably that drunk or more. And I felt some guilt, okay? But I stayed and watched the show. It was pretty fucking good, okay? So then, show's over, right? I go outside of the venue and start kind of looking around. People are meandering out, leaving. I'm just kind of hanging out looking for Lando. And I don't see him around where we were, like where the front was, where the scalpers were. I walk down. I kind of go around the corner where the movie theater is. There's some outdoor seating and stuff, and tables, and I don't see him. Uh, so I call his phone and I get his voicemail, and I'm like, I, I guess he's figured it out. And I go home and I go to sleep. Now, what also was what there's a lot of poor decisions that went into this evening already. But another one, just to throw them on the pile, is that, like I said, I worked at Starbucks at the time, and I had to open my store, which meant I had to get up at like 3:15 in the morning. And I'm leaving a concert at midnight probably ish, and I'm fucking wasted. I'm like, I drank a lot. Uh, it was gonna be no good. So I go home and I settle in for my like basically 2 hour 45 minute sleep I'm gonna get before I go to work, and I get a phone call. My phone starts ringing, and I'm like, what the fuck? Look at it. It's Lando's fiance, and she asked me, hey, is Lando with you? And I'm like, I kind of go into like a little defense mode. My head is cloudy. I'm like, I don't know. Is it, should he be? I didn't know if I needed to cover for him or something, or I didn't know what. So I was like, just like, yeah. I mean, he was with me earlier and at the concert. I didn't. I mean, afterwards, I went home. I left. I don't. What? And she's like, he was with you at the concert though, right? And I'm like, yes. Concert. Yep, we were at the concert. And she says, all right, because I think he's in jail. I was like, what? She's like, yeah, I missed a call from the whatever police department comes up, and she's like, I think it was him. I think because he's not home, he's not answering his phone. It's going to voicemail. I was like, oh shit. Well, if I can do anything, let me know. And she's like, okay, I will. I'm just gonna make some phone calls. So I'm like, fuck. So then I just definitely didn't sleep the rest of the time. Just kind of like laid in bed feeling awful about like what the fuck happened to Lando. I get up the next day to work. I feel awful at work. I'm like hungover on no sleep. But what's keeping me going is just like the the keen guilt that I'm feeling and like worry for my friend. It's putting like a knot in my stomach, but keeping me like sharp and awake. And I'm trying to call him like every chance I get. Uh, I finally, when it gets late enough in the morning, I do call his fiance back, and she's like, yeah, he did get arrested for public intoxication last night. So he's got to see the judge, and I'm gonna go pick him up this evening or whatever afternoon. And I was like, oh man, what the fuck did he do? Shit. So I feel awful, dude. I feel terrible. I'm calling him all day. I'm like, please call me, dude, when you get out. Please, please, please. Finally, that evening, he calls me. He's like, what's up, dude? I'm all right. Everything's cool. And I was like, dude, what the fuck happened? And he's like, I'll have to tell you. We'll hook up this weekend. I'll tell you. I'll tell you what happened. Just everything's fine, though. And I was like, all right, cool, man. So I'm feeling bad. Like the next few days, I'm like, oh, man, I should not have left him. This was all my fault. If I'd have just left the fucking concert and went with him, so we could have gone somewhere, got something to eat, had another beer or two and called it a night. But fuck, now he got arrested. I don't even know what that costs or whatever. I'm feeling bad, right? So I meet up with Lando a few days later, and I'm like, give me a scoop, dude. What happened? What went down? So he says that, he tells me, well, when they kicked him out, the police that, work as security in front and are hanging out there to make sure shit doesn't go down, told him, don't come back over here. If you come back over here in front of the venue, that's trespassing. And, we'll arrest you. So just take it on out of here, get out of here. And I'm not sure, they might have thrown in, and you're lucky we don't arrest you for PI right now, because he was probably being mouthy and stupid. So Lando said he then walks down the little strip and around the corner to where that movie theater was that I told you about, and he sits at one of the outdoor like bench or seats, and he said he's sitting there and he's trying to decide what he's going to do, and a scalper comes up to him and offers him a general admission ticket to the Rob Zombie show for $30, which he pays, and then walks back around the corner with his new ticket right to where they told him not to come, walks up to the door with his ticket out, does not get to the lady to scan it, apparently just immediately gets pulled away by officers and arrested. And then he spends the night in the drunk tank and all of that, and eventually gets out, after the hours you have to sit. I don't know. I've never been arrested. I'm a model citizen. But I sat there and I was like, why the fuck did you try to come back, dude? Why'd you buy another ticket? And he's like, I don't know, man. I was drunk. I just thought that I could do it. And I was like, do you have any idea how bad I have felt? That I thought this was all my fault? Meanwhile, you're just an idiot. And he's like, yeah, I guess that was my fault. So the important thing about this was that Lando learned a valuable lesson, I think, and whatever his takeaway from the whole experience is personal and applies to him. And my takeaway is, don't feel guilty for your friends being idiots. No offense, Lando. I love you. That's the takeaway. All right, there you go. I walked with a zombie. Last night. So that was the story of that. My good buddy Lando and I have gotten into other similar situations, other odd concert going things, and he may pop up in another couple stories here after my memory, if it gets jogged by something. I think it actually just did by telling this story, to be honest with you. But that's what happens. That's life. Sometimes it's you get ripped off and beat for some tickets or drugs, and then the next minute you're flying high again. It's just like in The Big Lebowski. Sometimes you eat the bar, sometimes the bar eats you, but god damn, it's fun. Anyway, so thank you guys for listening to our story today. I want to give a shout out to my man, Mr. Frank Edler, who hosts an awesome weekly podcast called the Bazong Podcast, the Bizarre and Weird Fiction Show. It's an awesome show. He gets great writers on there every week, and some really cool interviews about what's going on, not only in the bizarro, but in the horror community of writers and just weird writers, weird fiction writers. So check him out, Mr. Frank. He's my buddy. Anyway, to check more out about me is your opportunity to do now. If you go to johnwayneisdead.com, everything that I have going on is there. The podcast is there. The YouTube podcast videos are there, which, don't get excited, it's not live. It's just pictures I throw up to the audio, just in case you listen through YouTube. But there's other great videos there, the trailers for all my books, and also links to buy my books. I've been sending out the signed, personalized copies of Death Packs and Left Hand Paths this week, and thank you to all those who ordered. And I think that you'll see some of them have posted. They got some extras in there, so my friends, don't dilly-dally on this. Go to the johnwayneisdead.com store and order a signed copy, and you'll get some cool shit, and you'll help me out, and I really appreciate it. And all my books are there, and all the stuff I do. We have some John Wayne is Dead shows coming up with Chris Jett and I. Those dates are on there, and it's going to be a blast, man. So as I go into this next 2 weeks of craziness, Zine Fest, Bizarro Con, preparing my year for going out to cons and building this thing I've got going on, I'll take into account the reading from earlier, just the thoughts that it inspired in me to let go of things that aren't feeding me, pour my energy into the important things, and be patient. And that's what I'm going to do. So thank you guys, and everyone have a good day or night.
Mockingbird Network.